Another day, another shipment of VXR parts from Courtenay Sport. So in this one, we've got brand new genuine OPC coil pack cover. As some of you might have noticed in the last video, I put my throttle body on top of the stock one and scratched it. The OPC one obviously matches the ardent blue of the car, so it should be a nice different look for the engine bay. I've never seen anyone use an OPC cover on an ardent blue painted rocker cover. Might end up going back to the stock one if I don't like it, because they're cheap enough to just sort of switch out, but we'll see how it goes. Next up, I've got a new fuel cap because I've been getting a smell of fuel in the cabin every time I refuel until I crank the fuel cap down another 3 or 4 times and it eventually stops. Probably means the seal's gone on my original fuel cap. These are like less than a tenner, so nice and easy to replace. Now we're into the good stuff. So this, you can't really see it because of the bubble wrap, is a full set of Vibratechnics road engine mounts, which are 3 times stiffer than the stock ones, and then a Power Flex gearbox mount insert to stiffen up the gearbox mount as well. So the reason I even need these is the new exhaust is solid mounted at the back on a rubber bobbin rather than the factory hangers. This means the exhaust can't move quite as much as the stock one, which is great for stopping it from hitting the axle or anything. But it does result in more vibration. It means that when the engine moves, it's pulling on the flexi at the front of the exhaust, which could potentially wear it out quicker than usual. So solid engine mounts should help to prolong the life of the flexi until I get a new downpipe made for a big turbo conversion in the future. I've just taken all the packaging off these just to show what they look like. So here's the right hand engine mount all the time inside, which goes underneath your airbox. This is the rear engine mount, this is the front engine mount, and this is the gearbox mount insert, which just slots into the factory gearbox mount to stiffen that up, as nobody makes a complete replacement. So today I'm probably going to crack on and get the right hand side mount that goes under the airbox done, just because that's the easiest to get to without having to jack the car up, although you will need a jack to go under the engine to suspend it while the engine mount's removed, and I'll probably have to fit the others another day because I'm just doing this really quickly on my lunch. I'm going to start out by doing the easy stuff first, which is the fuel cap and the spark plug cover. Obviously much tighter than the old one, which would just spin and click really easily. There's where I scratched the life out of my old cover, a bit on the rocker cover as well. There's probably no saving this cover anyway. Helps to remember to plug the coil pack back in. So that's definitely a different look. The black isn't quite breaking up the blue as much, so it does visually look like there's a lot more blue in the engine bay, which I quite like. Obviously the rocker cover is quite dirty, needs cleaning, whereas this is brand new, freshly painted. So with it all cleaned up, it might match a bit better. But yeah, I actually quite like that. I like it more than I thought I would. So that's not bad for like 15 quid. Just have to remember not to put anything on it and scratch it again, like I did the last one, because that would be dumb. I stood staring at this for way too long, so I'm going to get some tools and change the engine mount now. So that's one engine mount done. The next couple are going to require the car to go up on the lift, which I'll probably do tomorrow if I get time. So there's the front one under the gearbox, and one at the back, which I don't know where it is. I can't point it out, but I'm sure I'll spot it when I get under the car tomorrow. So here's the front engine mount to the side of the downpipe. I'm just going to grab the new Vibratechnics one and I'll get it unbolted and stick the new one on. That is the front engine mount. No idea how you get that insert out, but we'll give it a go. Just reached out with an impact rather than a wrench. Needed quite a lot of extension to go over the subframe. Wrench is probably easier, honestly, or just a normal ratchet. That's not gone well. I was just pressing the new engine mount in with a vise and the aluminium housing for the mount has just completely snapped. So I'm gonna have to pick up a new one of those, remove the bushing again, and try and press this in and hope it doesn't fail again, I guess. Just got the new engine mount bushing pressed in, garage near work. Even they struggled a little bit. They didn't want to press it all the way in, so it's about a mil out still, just because they were also concerned about how thin the metal is on the actual aluminium cast mount, but got there in the end. Right, so I've lifted the car back up, supported the engine with the jack to get the mount to line up, and I'm just about to send the bolts back in, which I eventually found. Should be good to go and get on with the rest of them. Next one will be the lower one, which is back here, pain to get to. On this rear engine mount we actually want to remove this spacer, unless you're fitting this to a Mark IV, where this would go above the subframe, like that. Right, so following the exhaust down on the right side of it, here's the rear lower engine mount. There's a hex bolt here through the subframe, so we'll just need a pair of ratchets or a ratchet and an impact to get that off. That one's pretty straightforward. And there's one up here which looks to be hidden behind the downpipe. That might not be the case if you have battery exhaust or a smaller diameter, but with 3.5 inch that's well in the way. So I'm probably going to have to take the downpipe off. It's a bit of a pain. And then the final one, just stopped the video and turned my flash on. The final one is this T55, which is up in the middle, and there's a nut on top in here somewhere, which you're going to have to probably reach over the downpipe and stick a spanner on to loosen off. This is probably the hardest to get to out of them all, but I'll give it a go. Another lovely thing I've just noticed is looking at the oil drain, because I was just looking at the downpipe where the V-band is to take that off. The oil drain is covered in oil, so that's leaking. I'm assuming it's just from the gasket that goes between that and the bottom of the turbo core, but just another job to do. You know what, for the sake of this, I'm going to leave the downpipe just dangling off. It's not pulling on the lambda sensor wire. That's fine, because with that out of the way, there's plenty of room to get to this bolt for the engine mount. And look at that cat. It's a big unit. God. Oh, that was awful. Finally, I had to wedge my ratchet in there, an electric ratchet, to have any chance of getting that off today. I just couldn't get enough clicks on the manual ratchet. So one more to get a spanner on. Problem is I've then got to do all this again in reverse. And the last one, probably the most awkward one, is that T55. And there we go, it's finally off. I've just been and picked up a big set of nuts and bolts in the mini. These are A2 stainless, pretty strong. Should be good enough for one of multiple engine mount bolts. Apparently they built a screw fix literally like a mile away from my house, so that's awesome. I'll just get a move on. I can finally get it refitted. But then fit in a new engine mount. This goes on pretty smoothly. A new 75mm bolt there. And I'm not going to do that all the way up just yet. I get the others in first. Quite it's easy to line everything up. This is a factory one that I'm reusing. You know, I'm just going to turn the camera a second. So, this is pretty worrying, I would say. The amount of movement in these two screws, I haven't undone them. They were just like that. So what does this mean? The place that did the gearbox, considering no one else has touched the engine mounts on this, did they just not do these back up? Assuming they even had to remove them? Like, it might not have been them, but someone has had this off. And it's just been rattling around this whole time. What the actual... That's insane. And finally, the new nylock nut and washer that came with the engine mount have to go on top. Right, and now it's just time to screw them all together. Definitely tighten up this bracket, which was just dangling. I don't know how I didn't notice that when I undid the other end. Bloody Vauxhall sheds, eh? Right. Okay, do it from a bit of an angle, but the ratchet has got it on to the point that it now won't tighten anymore. And this is a 50 odd Newton meter ratchet. Kinda tight. I'm gonna put my normal ratchet on it. That's plenty tight for me. The 9 lock as well, so it shouldn't back off. We definitely don't want to over tighten these because they're just going into, I guess, an alley cast housing. You just have to slide this boot back over and then we're done with this mount. I just bolted the downpipe back up off camera. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to do under the car while it's up on the ramps. And then I can get on with the gearbox mount insert either today or another day. But yeah, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. This is, it's been an awkward job. Not hard, but like fiddly. Right, I needed to film a bit of an outro for this Vibratechnics engine mount video. So I've also got the gearbox mount to do, but I'm going to split that into a separate video because I was just editing these, and with everything in one video it comes to like well over 30 minutes. And the Vibratechnics stuff is a separate brand and product from the Powerflex gearbox mount insert, so I'm going to make them separate videos, and then there'll probably be a third one as like a follow-up with just my first impressions, which will be up in a few weeks. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and see you in the next one, which will hopefully be up next week.